Hi everyone. How are you doing? Milady and Iris here. And for today, our topic is another quote, and I think we did this not that long ago. Um, and I read this in a book, and I do not know who to give credit to because I believe it's a time-old phrase. I just had never heard it before. But it says, "It's hard to read the label from inside the box." And in the book, the author was saying it more like when you're in the middle of your problems, it's hard to find the solution until you decide to take a step out and kind of see it
Mm,
with that perspective of, okay, let me take a step out, or until you talk to somebody and it's really easy for that other person to be like, oh, these are some of the things that could help. Because when you're inside, there's so much of our own thinking, our own emotions, our own everything that makes it hard to see outside, to get that outside perspective and to see what could be a solution, right? So that is
mhm.
the way the author of this book that I'm reading is called The AI Driven Leader, actually. He mentions it in that sense, right? And then using, in this case, in what he's reading is using AI for it, right? Like having that third person be an AI. But it could be even another person. It could be a therapist. It could be a coach. It could be so many people. And that's one way to take the quote. What do you think about that way,
You
Iris?
just reminded me of our last topic of living in fear. What was the topic? The
Yeah,
story, the
the
story
story
that
we tell ourselves.
the story, yes, that we tell ourselves. Because when we are, like you said, it's hard to see the label from inside the box, and we get this fear factor. It's because we let our story again to we go into the story of our life, which is usually the things that we don't like, the experience that we are afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you said, you just reminded me when you said a therapist, finding someone to process this information with. You reminded me of meditation, the beauty of meditation. Like for instance, whenever something triggers that fear factor in me, automatically, because this is a meditation that I've been reciting for years now, the universe loves me, and only good follows me. In Spanish is el universo me ama y solo me da cosas buenas. So I repeat this over and over: el universo me ama y solo me da cosas buenas. Then I take myself out of the box,
Mm-hmm.
and then I say to myself, okay, whatever this is teaching me something, is showing me something, and there's always a solution for everything that we experience. So, what is it that I need to do? Usually, I just sit down for a minute and allow my mind to come into clarity, and then I follow that clarity. And it usually works out 99% of the time, usually. So, getting outside the box by allowing yourself to find peace with not knowing what's inside the box yet, and then follow the peace.
Oh,
Follow.
I love it. I That is beautiful, beautiful technique to do, which is really step outside of yourself, step out of that story, step out of that world that you're in so that you can read the label. And that is beautiful meditation, imagery, all those things can be so helpful. Mantras, telling ourselves things, so important. It's funny
Yeah.
because as I was talking to somebody about the quote, you can't, it's hard to read the label from inside the box. We were talking about something very different, and it's about how at times we forget our own accomplishments. We forget the good things in us. We forget, sometimes we get so bogged down with everything that we are lacking, and not just financial lacking, lacking in many ways, right? It could be lacking
Ah,
companionship, it could be lacking fun, it could be lacking food. Well, food will be a whole different story, but it could be lacking so many things, right? And sometimes we get so focused on what we're lacking that we feel down, that we feel small, we feel inferior. And then this person and I were talking, and we got to the point of, okay, tell me about who you are. Tell me the good things in you. Tell me your accomplishment. And we went really into that world. And as we were talking and we were saying all these wonderful things about ourselves, all of a sudden we stopped and we said, wow, there's so much good, right? There's so much perseverance. There's a lot that we have done as people. And sometimes we get bogged down by all this difference. And it reminded me of that quote again, because sometimes we are in us and we take things for granted. You know, if you
Yeah.
have a lot of perseverance, we take that perseverance for granted. Oh, yeah, I get stuff figured out, but it's really hard. Or we take for granted the fact that we may be really smart, right? And it's like, oh, yeah, that comes easy to me, but I'm also struggling here. So we start focusing on our struggles rather than focusing on our goods. And that's when, again, trying to look on the outside, looking at that label, looking at your nutritional facts, right? Looking at what is good about it. And when we start looking at that, it can improve our mood. It can improve even problem solving, because it's like, I do have all these things. I do have perseverance. I do have this. I do have that in me. So do that exercise. Try and take a piece of paper, write down sometimes when you were in the flow, when you were really good at what you were doing, when you feel happy. And then once you read them, all of them in a list, then think about, what part of me was I giving, right? Was I teaching? Is that what my purpose, right? Was I living in my purpose? And then go deeper than that. Were you in perseverance? Were you in, what were you at? And those qualities are yours. And those qualities are the ones that are going to help you in the future.
That's beautiful. That's 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 such a beautiful, and I love that exercise because, like I said, we forget how good we are because it's not normal to suffer. So the moment something takes us away from that peace, from that clarity, it becomes like a turmoil inside. But it's not because there's something wrong with us or because there's something bad. It's for us to realize so we can transform that energy
Yeah,
and we can go back to being outside the box with clarity
that's the key.
and being able to understand what that label meant. That is that is that is such a beautiful. That,
Yeah. Yeah,
I,
so think about your labels. Everybody, you know, as you're in there, type it on the chat if you want. What's in your label? What are the nutritional facts? What are some of
yeah,
the areas that you may be lower on that you want to work on? But look at it from the outside in. You know, what are some areas where maybe you want to have more vitamin K in there, right? So what are some things that you may want to add to your nutritional label, right? But what is it? What is it
what
for you? Yes.
is it?
Um, please, please, please type it on the chat, like, subscribe, comment, and it's so nice to see you. And we'll see you next time.
And be good to yourself.
Go to yourself. Bye.